Hello and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are going on an expedition, an incredible journey across India. We're talking about a place that has it all: towering peaks, ancient plateaus, even tropical islands. We're going to figure out how these epic landscapes all fit together. So let's get right into it.
But before we zoom out, let's zoom in on you. What kind of terrain do you live in? Are you on a vast flat plain or maybe a rugged, hilly region? Just take a second to picture it, because trust me, having that image in your head is going to make what we're about to see even more mind-blowing.
Okay, you got your local landscape in mind? Good, because India has basically all of them. I'm serious. It's one of those rare countries that has almost every major physical feature on Earth. We're talking towering mountains, vast plains, ancient plateaus, scorching deserts, long coastlines, and even remote islands. It's a land of incredible contrasts, and our expedition is going to hit every single one.
All right, first stop on our journey. We're heading north to a feature so huge you can just call it the Great Himalayan Wall. And look, these aren't just any old mountains. Geologically speaking, they're young, they're still growing. They were formed when two massive landmasses literally smashed into each other, creating this incredible folded barrier that guards India's entire northern border.
And when I say huge, I mean, just try to wrap your head around this number. 2,400 kilometers. That's how long this massive arc of mountains runs from west to east. It's without a doubt one of the highest, most rugged mountain barriers you'll find anywhere on the planet.
So how do you even begin to understand something that massive? Well, geographers have a pretty neat way of looking at it. Think of it like a giant three-step staircase running parallel. The top step, that's the Himadri, the Great Himalayas. These are the big ones, the highest peaks perpetually covered in snow. Then you step down to the middle one, the Himachal, or the Lesser Himalaya. It's still super rugged, but this is where you find those famous, beautiful valleys like Kashmir and Kulu. And the bottom step, those are the Shivaliks, the Outer Himalayas, which are the youngest of all, basically made up of all the sediment and rock washed down from the two ranges above them.
And yeah, that top step, the Himadri, that's where the real giants live. Now, while Mount Everest, the world's tallest, is technically in Nepal, India has some of the highest peaks on the entire planet. We're talking about monsters like Kanchenjunga, Nanga Parbat, and Nanda Devi. They just soar to heights that are honestly hard to even imagine.
Okay, here's a cool little geographical term for you. You know those two lower ranges we talked about, the Himachal and the Shivaliks? Well, tucked in between them are these really long, wide valleys, and they have a special name: duns. So yeah, if you've ever heard of the city Dehradun, now you know exactly where it gets its name. It's literally in one of those valleys.
Okay, let's leave the cold, high-altitude world of the Himalayas behind. Our expedition is now heading down, down, down into the huge, flat expanse of the northern plains. You know, if the Himalayas are India's crown, then these plains are its fertile heartland. This is the granary, the breadbasket that has fed millions upon millions of people for thousands of years.
And again, the scale here is just staggering. We're talking about 700,000 square kilometers. That is a massive area, all covered in rich alluvial soil. So where did it all come from? Well, three mighty river systems, the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra, did all the heavy lifting. Over millions of years, they carried silt down from the Himalayas and just deposited it here, creating one of the most productive farming regions in the entire world.
But here's the thing. Not all of this plain is created equal. There's a really simple way to think about it, kind of like a house with two levels. The Bangar is like the upper terrace. It's made of older soil, so it's a bit less fertile. But then you have the Khadr. That's the ground floor, right down in the floodplain. And it gets a brand new, super fertile layer of soil delivered by the rivers almost every single year. So as you can imagine, that's where the really intensive farming happens.
Okay, time to shift gears. Our expedition is now heading south, and we're going from the young mountains and plains to the absolute oldest part of India, the Peninsular Plateau. This is a totally different landscape. It's not folded and new like the Himalayas. It's a vast, ancient, stable tableland made up of some of the oldest rocks you can find. Yeah, this really puts it into perspective. To get a sense of just how old this thing is, think about this. While the Himalayas were still being formed, literally being pushed up from the earth, this plateau was already ancient. It's a literal piece of the old supercontinent, Gondwana. That makes it one of the oldest, most stable chunks of land on the entire planet. Just incredible.
So you've got this great big tableland, and it's flanked on both sides by mountain ranges called the Ghats, but they're very different from each other. The Western Ghats are like a high, continuous wall. They're the first thing the monsoon winds hit, so they get drenched with rain. The Eastern Ghats, on the other hand, are much lower, and they're not continuous. They're all broken up, with big rivers cutting through them on their way to the sea.
Now, one of the most famous parts of this plateau is a feature called the Deccan Trap. The name sounds a bit weird, but it's basically a huge area of volcanic rock. And over millions and millions of years, that rock has broken down and created this incredibly fertile black soil, which, as you might know, is absolutely perfect for growing things like cotton.
Okay, so we've hit the big three: the mountains, the plains, and the plateau. But to really get the full picture of India's diversity, we need to do a quick tour of the edges: the desert, the coasts, and the islands. Let's do a quick fire round.
All right, first, we're heading west, into the Great Indian Desert. Just imagine a rolling landscape of sand, almost no rain, and these cool crescent-shaped sand dunes that are always moving. Next, let's trace the edges of the peninsula along the coastal plains. These are these narrow, fertile strips of land, just squeezed between the Ghats and the ocean. And finally, we're jumping into the sea to visit the two island groups. In the Bay of Bengal, you've got the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are pretty amazing. They're actually the peaks of underwater volcanoes. And then, over in the Arabian Sea, you have the Lakshadweep Islands.
And these are just wild. The Lakshadweep Islands weren't made by volcanoes or tectonic plates. They were built, literally constructed, over thousands of years by tiny microscopic creatures. These little coral polyps live in colonies, and their skeletons, made of calcium carbonate, are what built up to form the islands themselves. How amazing is that?
So this is the really key takeaway. None of these incredible regions exist on its own. They all complement each other. They work together as a system. Think about it. The mountains provide the water, the plains use that water to grow the food, the plateau is a massive storehouse of minerals, and the coasts and islands? They provide harbors and rich fishing grounds. It all fits together.
Wow, okay, we have covered a lot of ground on this expedition. So what do you say we test that explorer's knowledge of yours? Let's see what's stuck.
All right, let's start with an easy one just to warm up. A landmass that's surrounded by the sea on three sides is called a what? Is it a coast, an island, or a peninsula?
Okay, a little tougher now. The mountain ranges in the eastern part of India, the ones that form the border with Myanmar, what is they collectively called? Is it Himachal, Provençal, or Uttarakhand?
Think you've got those? If you want to really test your knowledge, we've put together a full 10-question quiz for you. Just check the description below to find it and see how you did.
And just like that, our expedition comes to an end. We've seen how all these massive, incredible physical features came to be. But the story doesn't end there. The real question, the one I want to leave you with, is this. How did these ancient landscapes, these mountains, plains, and plateaus, continue to shape everything? The culture, the economy, the day-to-day lives of more than 1 billion people right now. It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us